ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिके। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 8, Dhruva Mahārāja leaves home. We are in the section, text 45 to 51, where Lord's form is very elaborately described by Narada Muni. This is a very special description because Narada Muni is describing this form of the Lord to angry, anxious 5-year-old child, that is Dhruva. And therefore, very beautiful, very simple explanation of the form is given here. So we are at text 46. We'll recite this verse, very beautiful verse. Tarunam ramaniyangam
तरुणं रमणीयाङ्गम्
अरुणोष्ठे क्षणाधरम्
अरुणोष्ठे क्षणाधरम्
प्रणताश्रयणं नृम्णम् शरण्यं करुणार्णवम्। Translation.
Narada Muni continued, the Lord's form is always youthful. Every limb and every part of his body is properly formed, free from defect. His eyes and lips are pinkish like the rising sun. He is always prepared to give shelter to the surrendered soul, and anyone so fortunate as to look upon him feels all satisfaction. The Lord is always worthy to be the master of the surrendered soul, for he is the ocean of mercy. Purport. Everyone has to surrender to someone superior. That is always the nature of our living condition. At the present moment, we are trying to surrender to someone, either to society or to our nation, family, state, or government. The surrendering process already exists, but it is never perfect because the person or institution upon whom we surrender is imperfect. And our surrender, having so many ulterior motives, is also imperfect. As such, in the material world, no one is worthy to accept anyone's surrender, nor does anyone fully surrender to anyone else unless obliged to do so. But here, the surrendering process is voluntary, and the Lord is worthy to accept the surrender. This surrender by the living entity occurs automatically as soon as he sees the beautiful, youthful nature of the Lord. The description given by Narada Muni is not imaginary. The form of the Lord is understood by the Parampara system. Mayavadi philosophers say that we have to imagine the form of the Lord. But here Narada Muni does not say that. Rather, he gives the description of the Lord from authoritative sources. He himself an authority, and he is able to go to Vaikuntha Loka and see the Lord personally. Therefore, his description of the bodily features of the Lord is not imagination. Sometimes we give instructions to our students about the bodily features of the Lord, and they paint him. Their paintings are not imaginary. The description is given through disciplic succession, just like that given by Narada Muni, who sees the Lord and describes his bodily features. Therefore, such descriptions should be accepted. And if they are painted, that is not imaginative painting. Hare Krishna.
So further Narada Muni says, my dear Dhruva, the Supreme Lord is Tarunam Ramaniyangam. Tarunam means he is youthful. Ramaniyangam means all his bodily limbs are so beautifully formed that they are manorama, right? They can actually extremely attractive and beautiful. Tarunam Ramaniyangam. Arunoshte is that his lips and eyes, Aruna and Oshta, they are like Aruna and Ikshana, they are like the rising sun. Oshta and Ikshana are like Aruna. Pranata Shrayanam Numnam. So he is the shelter of the surrendered and transcendently pleasing to all respects. And Sharanyam Karuna Arnavam. Sharanyam means he is worthy of surrender, and Arnamam, he is ocean of compassion, ocean of mercy, Karuna Arnavam. Very beautiful words. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains the word Sharanyam. Sharanyam means somebody who is worthy taking shelter of or surrendering to. Srila Prabhupada explains, actually everyone is looking to surrender to somebody. Why? Because that is the nature of the Supreme Lord. That is the nature of the living entity. Right? That is the constitutional position. And therefore, the living entity is always looking for surrender. When we follow the state law, we are surrendering to the state, right? And actually, we are surrendering everywhere. Falling in line means actually basically surrendering. But surrendering process that exists is not perfect. Prabhupada writes here, the person to whom we surrender or the institution to whom we surrender is imperfect. Right? Sometimes, you may surrender to some person and the person may become whimsical and he may, just like, there is this North Korean dictator, Kim Un-jong, and he needs absolute surrender. And somebody simply once yawned in his meeting. He gave him Fasi ki shiksha, he says that hanged to death. What is the use of such a surrender? Surrendering to such a personality. Somebody, when may surrender to somebody, some institute, and when there is a job cutting, the institute may just give a pink slip, fire, with practically no notice. And the object of surrender is faulty, and the process of surrender is also faulty because there are so many ulterior motives. But the worthy personality to surrender is the Supreme Lord, Sharanyam. Therefore, the Lord is called as Sharanyam. This word will come again and again in many shlokas. Is worthy of surrender. And the living entity, the surrendering process of the living entity to the Supreme Lord is also automatic because as soon as he sees the beautiful form of the Lord and amazing qualities of the Supreme Lord. Further, Srila Prabhupada explains, these descriptions given by Narada Muni, they are not imaginary. Why? Because two things. One thing is, he himself has heard this in Guru Parampara, and he himself is a Mahajan, Swayambhu Narada Shambhu. And second thing is, he has pratyaksha experience. Narada Muni can transcend the material world, go to the Vaikuntha Loka, and see the Lord personally. And thus, whatever Narada Muni is describing here is pratyaksha and shabda, both combined. And therefore, Prabhupada says, whenever we see ISKCON paintings, because these paintings are based on the exact description of the Lord in the Vedic literature, these paintings come to life. One can see a distinct difference actually. One can really see the distinct difference between Krishna painted within ISKCON because they are following all the rules and regulations of the painting that is described in the description of the Lord versus some imaginary painting. One can see the difference. And therefore, Prabhupada says, such paintings are not imagination, but they are actual description. Prabhupada used to call our paintings as windows to the spiritual world. Okay. One painting is like one window. to the spiritual world. You open the window, you see suddenly, oh, Krishna with Yashoda there. So that is windows to the spiritual world. Text 47. We'll recite this verse. Srivatsankam Ghanashyamam
Srivatsa Sangaghanashyamam
Purusham Vanamalinam
Purusham Vanamalinam
Vanamalinam
Shankha Chakra Gada Padmair
Shankachakra Padmair
Abhivyakta Chaturbhujam.
Abhivyakta
Abhivyakta
Chaturbhujam.
Chaturbhujam.
Translation.
The Lord is further described as having the mark of Srivatsa, or the sitting place of the goddess of fortune, and his bodily hue is deep bluish. The Lord is a person. He wears a garland of flowers, and he is eternally manifest with four hands, which hold, beginning from the lower hand, a conch shell, wheel, club, and lotus flower. Purport. Here in this verse, the word Purusham is very significant. The Lord is never female. The Lord is always male, Purusha. Therefore, the impersonalist who imagine the Lord's form as that of a woman is mistaken. The Lord appears in female form if necessary, but his perpetual form is Purusha because he is originally male. The feminine feature of the Lord is displayed by goddess of fortune Lakshmi, Radharani, Sita, etc. All these goddesses of fortune are servitors of the Lord. They are not the supreme, as falsely imagined by the impersonalist. Lord Krishna, in his Narayana feature, is always four-handed. On the battlefield of Kurukshetra, when Arjuna wanted to see his universal form, he showed his feature of four-handed Narayana. Some devotees are of opinion that Krishna is an incarnation of Narayana. But the Bhagavata school says that Narayana is a manifestation of Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Further, Narada Muni is describing the Supreme Lord is Srivatsankam Ghanashyamam Purusham Vanamalinam and his Chaturbhujam. These are the 5 things. He is a Srivatsanka. There is a mark of Srivatsa. His bodily hue is a deeply bluish. He is Ghanashyama. He is Purusham. He is the personality. Vanamalinam, who wears the garland of the flowers, Vanamala. And he is Chaturbhujam. Beginning from the lower left hand, he has Shankha Chakra Gada Padma. Okay. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains the word Purusham is very significant. The Lord is a personality, and especially Lord is supreme male. Again, Purusha here in the material world is different than the Purusha in the spiritual world. The Purusha is the enjoyer, and actually the male form in the material world is also Prakriti because it is ultimately part of the Prakriti. But the Lord is the supreme male. Of course, sometimes he appears in the female form, just like the Mohini Murti, he may appear like that. He may be controlled by the female form like Radharani. There is no difference between Krishna and Radha. But the Lord is the supreme male. Prabhupada said sometimes impersonalists imagine the Lord's form to be woman. And they will have so many different imaginations, my goodness. In Maharashtra especially, there is a very great saint actually, Swami Samartha. And his followers will show Swami Samartha in so many different ways. Sometimes show as a Durga, sometimes show as, just wild imagination. And it looks so, such a saint, but it looks so something different that, such imagination. So Lord's form is not this kind of imagination. The supreme form is Chaturbhujam, is Narayana form. And most of the times people stop their imagination at Narayana and they think that all are incarnations of Narayana. And similarly, Rama is also incarnation of Narayana, Krishna is also incarnation of Narayana. But Bhagavatam school very clearly mentions that ete chamsa kalapamsa Krishnastu Bhagavanasvayam. That all these are incarnations and they are emanating from the supreme form, that is Sri Krishna. Text 48. We'll recite this one. Kiritinam Kundalinam
Kiritinam Kundalinam
केयूरवलयान्वितम्
Keyuravalayānvitam
कौस्तुभाभरणं ग्रीवम्
Kaustubhavarana
पीतकौशेयवाससम्
Pītakauṣeyavāsasam.
Translation.
Translation. The entire body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, is decorated. He wears a valuable jeweled helmet, necklaces, and bracelets. His neck is adorned with Kaustuba jewel, and he is dressed in yellow silk garments. Hare Krishna.
So this is the full bodily form of the Lord, and beauty is being explained. Entire body is decorated. He wears the jeweled helmet, necklace, bracelets, and adorned with Pita Kausheya Vasasam, the yellow silk garment. Text 49. We'll recite this one. Kanchikalapa paryastam
Kanchikala
Pariyastam
Lasat Kanchananūpuram
Lasatakanchananam
Darshaniyatamam Shantam
Darshaniyatam Shantam
Shantam
Manonayana
Manonayana
Manonayana.
Translation.
The Lord is decorated with small golden bells around his waist, and his lotus feet are decorated with golden ankle bells. All his bodily features are very attractive and pleasing to the eyes. He is always peaceful, calm, and quiet, and very pleasing to the eyes and the mind.
Previous shloka we saw the kiritinam, right, kirita, that is the helmet that Lord is wearing, the mukut. And now here the description continues. The Lord is decorated with small golden bells around his waist. His lotus feet are decorated with the golden ankle bells. And thus, this form is very attractive and pleasing to the eyes. Right. Darshaniya, very, very pleasing to the eyes. Tamam Shantam, very attractive, pleasing to the eyes. He is always peaceful, calm, and quiet, and very pleasing to the eyes and mind. Mano Nayana Vardhanam. Very beautiful words, right? Please mark these words. Darshaniya Tamam Shantam. Mano Nayana Vardhanam. The Lord has beautiful names. One name of the Lord is Nayanotsava. Nayanotsava means it is actually Utsava for the eyes to see the form of the Lord. Right? So this is Mano Nayana Vardhanam. Text 50. Now we'll recite. We are reciting this verse. Okay. Rit Padmakarani Kadhikshnam
Ritpadmakarnika Dishnam
Akramyatmanivasthitam.
Akramanyāvasthitam.
Translation.
Real yogis meditate upon the transcendental form of the Lord as he stands on the wall of the lotus of their hearts, the jewel-like nails of his lotus feet glittering.
So now, the real yogis meditate on this personality who is standing on a Padma. He stands on the whorl of the lotus of their own hearts. And the jewel-like nails, right? Nakha Mani Sharanya. So, Nakha Mani Sharanya is, this is the practice of nail paint. Okay. So, Lord doesn't need nail paint. Lord's nails are beautifully decorated themselves. They look like the money. The 10 money on the lotus feet of the Lord, they look like that. That's how they are transcendently beautiful. But, here in the material world, we try to imitate that with painting our nails. So, whenever we see some, the nail paints, this is one way to remember that, oh, Supreme Lord's Nakhamani Sharanya. The nails of the Supreme Lord are so beautifully that they look like monies standing on his lotus hand and lotus feet. Text 51. So here now, this is the Lord's form is being concluded here. I will recite this one. So we recited all the shlokas of Lord's form. Smayamanam abhidyayet
Smayamanam
Yamanam amidhyayet
sanuragavalokanam
anuragavalokanam
niyatenaikabhutena
niyatenaikabhutena
manasa varadarshabham.
manasa varadarshabham.
Translation.
The Lord is always smiling, and the devotee should constantly see the Lord in this form, as he looks very mercifully toward the devotee. In this way, the mediator should look toward the Supreme Personal of Godhead, the bestower of all benedictions. Purport. The word niyatena is very significant in this connection, for it indicates that one should execute the meditation practice as stated above. One should not manufacture a way of meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but should follow the authorized Shastras and personalities. By this prescribed method, one can practice concentration upon the Lord until one is so fixed that he remains in trance, thinking always of the form of the Lord. The word used here is ekabhutena, which means with great attention and concentration. If one concentrates on the descriptions of the bodily features of the Lord, one will never fall down. Thank you.
Yeah. So Smayamana is beautifully smiling. So the Lord is always smiling, Smayamana. And one should meditate on this particular form of the Lord. And he is Sanuraga Avalokanam. What a beautiful verse it is. Sa Anuraga, great love, right? Anulokanam, he is always looking at his devotees. So Smayamana Abhidyayet Sanuraga Avalokanam Niyatena Ekabhutena. Very, very with great concentration. Manasa, one should fix one's mind on this form of the Lord. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, Niyatena is very important. There is a specific way of meditation and not that Yatomat Tatopat. That I will meditate on, the jhadu, I will meditate on nothing, I will meditate on something new. The object of meditation is very clear, right? And one has to follow this particular process of meditation, niyatena. And Prabhupada says, don't manufacture your own method, right? One should follow the authorized Shastra and the personalities, and the prescribed method should be practiced ekabhutena, with great attention and concentration. And then Prabhupada writes here, amazing statement. If one concentrates on the descriptions of the bodily features of the Lord, one will never fall down. Right. So Prabhupada must be writing this somewhere when some fall down has happened in ISKCON. And Prabhupada is writing and simultaneously expanding preaching mission, managing, the whole thing is going on. And that's why Prabhupada's purports are so very amazing. Prabhupada is referring commentaries of 15 acharyas, original Sanskrit commentary, and at the same time he's expanding the preaching mission, and all those realizations are part of this purport. So the very important is that if one concentrates on the descriptions of the bodily features of the Lord, one will never fall down. This is the importance of taking darshan. Text 52. So now Narad Muni says, now this is the way, my dear Dhruva. Evam bhagavato rupam subhadram dhyayato manah nivritya parayaturanam sampannam na nivartate. Translation.
One who meditates in this way, concentrating his mind upon the always auspicious form of the Lord, is very soon freed from all material contamination, and it does not come down from meditation upon the Lord. Purport. This fixed meditation is called samadhi or trance. A person constantly engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord cannot be deviated from meditating on the form of the Lord as described herein. The Archana Marga, or the devotional path described in the Pancharatra system of devotional service for worshipping the deity in the temple, makes the devotee think constantly of the Lord. That is samadhi or trance. One who practices in this way cannot deviate from the service of the Lord, and that makes him perfect in the mission of human life. Hare Krishna.
So this is the way that evam bhagavato rupam subhadram dhyayato mana. Subhadram, very, very auspicious. The form of the Lord is always auspicious. And thus, my dear Dhruva, please meditate in this way and you will never come down. Nivritya parayaturnam. Sampannam na vivartate. Right? So, na nivartate means yat gatva na nivartate. When we'll never come down from this process, from this stage of samadhi. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains the fixed meditation is called samadhi, and one who is constantly engaged in service of the Lord, that is devotional service, is also on the stage of samadhi. And especially Prabhupada mentions here about Pancharatra Vidhi, worshipping deity in the temple, and thus a devotee will always think of constantly worshipping the Lord. And I want to make this dress, I want to make this offering, I want to, and this is how he will become perfect in his human mission. Text 53. Japascha paramo guhyah shruyatam me nrupatmaja yam saptaratram prapatan puman paschanti kecharan. Translation.
O son
O
of
son of the king, now I shall speak unto you the mantra which is to be chanted with this process of meditation. One who carefully chants this mantra for 7 nights, one can see the perfect human beings flying in the sky. Purport. Within this universe, there is a planet called Siddhaloka. The inhabitants of the Siddhaloka are by nature perfect in the yoga achievements, which are of 8 varieties. One can become smaller than the smallest, lighter than the lightest, or bigger than the biggest. One can immediately get whatever he likes. One can even create a planet, etc. These are some of the yogic perfections. By virtue of the Lagima Siddhi or purificatory process to become lighter than the lightest, the inhabitants of the Siddha Loka can fly in the sky without airplanes or airships. It is hinted herein by Narada Muni to Dhruva Mahārāja that by meditating upon the transcendental form of the Lord and at the same time chanting the mantra, one becomes so perfect within 7 days that he can see the human beings who fly in the sky. Narada Muni uses the word japaha, which indicates that mantra to be chanted is very confidential. One may ask, if it is confidential, why is it mentioned in the writing of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam? It is confidential in the sense one may receive a published mantra anywhere, but unless it is accepted through the chain of disciple succession, the mantra does not act. It is said by the authoritative sources that any mantra chanted without having been received from disciple succession has no efficacy. Another point established in this verse is that meditation should be carried on with the chanting of a mantra. Chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is the easiest process of meditation in this age. As soon as one chants the Hare Krishna mantra, he sees the forms of Krishna, Rama, and their energies. And that is the perfect state of trance. One should not artificially try to see the form of the Lord while chanting Hare Krishna. But when the chanting is performed offensively, the Lord will automatically reveal himself to the view of the chanter. The chanter therefore has to concentrate on hearing the vibration, and without extra endeavor on his part, the Lord will automatically appear.
So now he is saying, now Narada Muni instructs, Japascha paramo guhyam shruyatam me nrupatmaja. O son of the king, Nrupatmaja, please now I will speak a mantra to you, which you should chant in this process of meditation. And one who carefully chants this mantra, Yam saptaratran prapatan puvan paschanti khechara. One can see the perfected human beings from Siddhaloka if one perfects the chanting of this mantra. So now this is the process recommended in Satya Yuga, right? So this is not the process for Kali Yuga. Process for Kali Yuga is different. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that there in this universe is not empty. There are planets which are far superior than the earthly planets. So there is a planet of Siddhaloka where all the inhabitants of that planet are by nature, they are perfected human beings with Ashtasiddhi. And Prabhupada mentioned some Ashtasiddhi. anima, lagima, prapti, kamavashayita, so on and so forth. And when one chants this mantra in Satyuga perfectly, then one can see, Prabhupada says, Narad Muni hints here, that one can actually see Pumans Charati Khecharan, one can see these perfected beings moving across in the sky by the potency of this mantra. So the word used is japascha. Japa means confidential. And somebody may ask, if you see the next, very next verse, text 54, the mantra is given there. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This is the mantra you should be chanting. So what kind of confidentiality is? Prabhupada says the mantra may be published in writing, but unless the mantra is received from a disciplic succession, the mantra has no effect. Sampradaya vihinaste mantraste nishfala matah. That without coming in the bona fide disciplic succession, the mantra becomes nishfala. It has no efficacy. Another point is meditation should be carried on with chanting of the mantra. And here especially one has to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And while chanting, one not artificially think of the form of the Lord. Right? No, while chanting, Prabhupada says, one has to simply focus on hearing, just hear, right? Hearing the vibration, and without extra endeavor on the part of a devotee, the Lord will automatically appear. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Prabhupada, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.